All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. You ready to dig into another deep dive with us?
Always ready to explore something new.
Awesome. So today we are taking a look at Mixue ice cream and tea.
Mixue.
Yeah, so I think most people probably know them for their crazy cheap ice cream.
Right.
But we're going to take a look at how they actually went from a single shaved ice stand in China
Wow.
to basically a global empire of frozen treats.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And we've got a lot of interesting stuff to cover today. So we've got financial reports. We've got Mixue's own prospectus.
Oh,
We've even got some observations from folks who've seen their operations like up close and personal.
that's cool.
But before we dive into all that, I had to share this one crazy fact that just blew my mind.
Okay, lay it on me.
So their IPO on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange,
Yeah.
it was massive. Like, I mean, record-breakingly huge.
Really?
Yeah. We're talking 5,125 times oversubscribed
What?
with a mind-boggling 1.77 trillion Hong Kong dollars in frozen capital.
Whoa, hold on. 1.77 trillion.
Trillion.
That's more than some countries' entire GDPs.
Right. It's like they just froze the entire economy of a small country.
That is wild.
Yeah. So,
So basically, we got to figure out, like, what is the secret recipe?
right. What is that special sauce? So let's grab our spoons and dig in. All right. So to really understand this story, we need to rewind all the way back to 1997 in Zhengzhou, China.
Okay, back in the day.
Yeah. Our main character here is Zhang Hengao,
Zhang Hengao. Okay.
and he sets up this modest little shaved ice stand
Makes sense.
called Hanliu Shaved Ice
Okay.
with just 3,000 yuan,
3,000.
which is basically half a year's salary at the time.
Wow. So really starting small.
Really starting small. Talk about bootstrapping.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, though, like, starting with such limited resources, I feel like that kind of forced them to think about affordability from the get-go
Yeah.
to really cater to a market that's price conscious.
Makes sense.
Like, that really planted the seeds for what they've become today.
Right. But then 2006 is when things really start to shift.
Okay, what happened in 2006?
So they switched from shaved ice to 2 yuan ice cream.
Oh, interesting.
Like, that's the magic number.
the magic number
2 yuan.
for ice cream.
Yeah.
So, like, why the switch? Was shaved ice just not cutting it?
Well, I think they realized that shaved ice is very seasonal.
Right.
It's pretty labor intensive.
Mm-hmm.
And, pricier ice cream brands were popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
So they needed something that could be made efficiently,
Right.
sold year round
Yeah.
without breaking the bank.
Okay, so a smart strategic move.
A very smart move.
Yeah.
And it paid off big time.
I bet it did. How big are we talking?
So by 2020, they hit 10,000 stores.
10,000. Okay, that's a lot of stores.
Yeah, it's a lot of stores.
That's a lot of ice cream.
A lot of ice cream. And then get this.
There's more?
In just over 4 years, they more than quadrupled that number,
No way.
reaching over 46,000 stores worldwide today.
What? 46,000?
46,000. That is insane growth.
That's phenomenal. Especially, like, you think about how competitive that market is.
It's clearly doing something right.
They're definitely doing something right. So now get this.
There's another twist.
There's another twist.
All right.
Their main source of revenue. It's not actually franchise fees.
What?
It's supplying materials and equipment to their franchisees.
Oh, so they're making money off the stuff that goes into the ice cream,
Exactly.
not just the ice cream itself.
Exactly. In 2024, this supply chain dominance brought in a jaw-dropping 97% of their revenue.
97%.
97%, totaling 18.22 billion yuan.
Whoa. That's like they built a frozen treat empire on a foundation of spoons and straws.
It really is.
That's amazing.
Mm.
So this is what they call vertical integration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they control basically everything from the ingredients
You have
to
to-
the equipment
Mhm.
to the actual stores themselves.
Yeah, and it lets them maintain quality,
Right.
control costs,
Yeah.
and boost those profit margins.
So they can offer those low prices without sacrificing quality.
Exactly. It's like they cracked the
They
code.
cracked the code. And their 2021 prospectus, it revealed that they sold over 3 billion straws that year.
3 billion straws.
3 billion.
I mean, how many straws can one person even use?
Right. Generating 306 million yuan from straws alone.
That's wild. So it's like they're squeezing every bit of value from that supply chain,
They really are.
which ultimately benefits the customer, right? Because they get those lower prices.
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant when you think about it.
It is, but it also creates this interesting feedback loop.
Oh, and how so?
Well, to maintain that supply chain edge,
Uh-huh.
they need to keep expanding.
Right.
More stores means more demand for their supplies,
Right.
which further strengthens their cost control
Right.
in their production.
So it's like a delicious snowball effect.
A delicious snowball effect rolling through the global market.
Exactly. And speaking of expansion, let's talk about how they're spending their earnings.
All right, let's talk money.
In 2021, 60% went towards opening new stores,
Okay.
mostly in smaller cities. Now, in 2024, a whopping 66% is dedicated to upgrading their supply chain.
So they're doubling down on that vertical integration.
They're doubling down, so they're not just focused on selling more ice cream.
Right.
They're investing in the infrastructure
Uh-huh.
that makes their whole operation tick,
Okay. So they're playing the long game.
the long game.
Right.
And the supply chain is seriously impressive.
Right, give me the numbers.
We're talking 5 enormous production bases
5.
covering a combined area of 670,000 square meters.
Okay, I need a visual on that. How big are we talking?
That's like 93 football fields
93 football fields dedicated to churning out frozen treats.
dedicated to churning out frozen treats. And get this,
There's more.
they can produce 1.65 million tons of ingredients annually.
1.65 million tons.
That's enough to make all their core ingredients themselves.
Whoa, so they don't have to rely on outside suppliers for, like, the key stuff.
Nope, which gives them even more control over their costs.
Wow, that is remarkable. Like, that level of vertical integration.
It's pretty incredible.
It gives them such a massive advantage
No.
over competitors.
Yeah, like their raw material costs are estimated to be 10 to 20% lower.
Whoa, that's huge.
Huge. Plus, they've built this super efficient logistics network,
Okay.
ensuring 90% coverage of 12-hour distribution,
12-hour distribution.
even in less populated areas.
Wow, so it's not just about making the ice cream affordable. It's about building that whole system
Yeah.
that makes it possible.
On a massive scale.
Okay, so we've covered the supply chain,
Yeah.
but now I'm curious about something that might seem kind of small, but I think it's incredibly clever.
What's that?
Their storefront strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's interesting here is how they've used just these simple elements
Uh-huh.
to create a really strong brand identity.
Yeah.
Like, if you compare them to competitors like Zhao Yiming Snacks
Yeah.
and Hoxianglais Snack,
I've seen those.
you'll notice some, like, really striking similarities.
Yeah, they all have those big red logos.
The big red logos.
Nice catchy theme songs.
Oh, yeah, the theme songs.
Like Mixie's is based on Oh, Susanna.
Okay.
Zhao Yiming's on Making Friends.
Catchy.
And Hoxianglais on The Rabbit Dance.
Oh, wow, the rabbit dance.
And their storefronts are always sparkling clean
Yeah, super clean.
and brightly lit.
Like, they really want to stand out from the crowd.
They do.
Yeah.
But they're all using like the same playbook.
Right. It's like they all know the secret formula,
Yeah.
but these elements all work together to create what's known as the no effect.
Okay, what is that?
So it basically translates to boundary in English.
Boundary. Okay.
So it's like they're creating their own little world within these busy streets.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this boundary effect.
So picture this.
Okay.
You're walking down a bustling street in a Chinese city.
Okay.
It's noisy, chaotic, sensory overload.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Shops and sounds and smells everywhere.
Right.
And then you come across a Mixie store.
Mm-hmm.
你爱我，我爱你，蜜雪冰城甜蜜蜜。你爱我，我爱你，蜜雪冰城甜蜜蜜。
And their music just draws you in.
Okay.
It's like it blocks out the surrounding noise.
I see.
The bright lights, the
Yeah.
clean storefront, it just offers this visual break from all the chaos.
Okay.
And then the enticing aroma of their treats just fills the air.
Oh, yeah?
It's almost like stepping into a different dimension.
So it's more than just grabbing a cheap ice cream. It's
Exactly.
an escape from the everyday hustle and bustle.
Exactly. It's an experience.
Wow. I'm starting to see how all those little details add up to something bigger.
Yeah, it's pretty clever.
Very clever. But speaking of escaping the everyday so, let's shift gears and talk about Mixue's commitment to affordable indulgence.
Okay.
This isn't just a marketing gimmick.
Right.
It's been their core value proposition since 1997,
Wow.
and that consistency has played a major role in their success.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
They've kept their prices incredibly low for over 25 years.
That's crazy.
Through economic ups and downs, they've resisted the urge to hike prices when everyone else was doing it. That's consistency, that promise of
Yeah.
affordable treats. That's a powerful message in a world where prices just seem to go up every day.
It really is. It's like they're saying, hey, no matter what's happening out there, you can
Yeah.
always count on us for a delicious and affordable escape.
It's comfort food,
Yeah.
but also comfort pricing.
Comfort pricing. I love that.
And that kind of reliability can build a really deep sense of loyalty with customers.
Yeah. I know I'd be more likely to go back to a place that felt dependable,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to something as simple as a sweet treat.
Absolutely. And, it's not just about the price. It's about the emotional connection they've built with their customers.
Mm-hmm.
Mixue represents a sense of stability,
Right.
a little pocket of comfort in a world that can often feel unpredictable.
Okay. So we've explored their history.
Yeah.
We've talked about that mind-blowing supply chain
Uh-huh.
and even the psychology behind their storefronts.
Oh, the elements.
But what does it all mean?
Yeah, good question.
How did Mixue manage to go from this tiny shaved ice stand to this global frozen treat powerhouse? What are the key ingredients in their success, so to speak?
Well, I think one thing's for sure. They clearly understood the power of affordability,
Yeah.
especially in a market with a growing middle class.
Yeah.
Think about it. People want quality,
Uh-huh.
but they also need to watch their wallets.
Right.
And Mixie realized they could tap into this massive customer base by offering something delicious that didn't break the bank.
And they didn't just settle for making cheap ice cream. They built a whole system to make it possible on a global scale.
Yeah, their supply chain mastery is like something out of a business textbook.
Right. But is that level of control always a good thing?
That's a good point.
I mean, it seems brilliant, but could it also make them vulnerable?
Yeah, you're right. There are always potential downsides to any strategy.
Right.
Like having such a tightly controlled supply chain could make them less flexible
Uh-huh.
in responding to sudden changes, like disruptions in the global market or shifts in consumer preferences.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
It's a risk they definitely have to manage carefully.
So it's like a balancing act, maximizing efficiency while staying adaptable.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, but it's not just about logistics and ingredients, right?
Right.
They also created this unique brand experience
Yeah.
that draws people in.
Yeah, with those bright lights, the catchy music,
Mhm.
the spotless interiors.
Yeah.
It all creates that inviting atmosphere that really stands out.
And it reinforces that boundary effect.
Exactly. Offering that little escape from the outside world.
Yeah. And let's not forget their unwavering commitment to affordability,
Right.
which has built that sense of trust and loyalty.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how all these elements work together to create such a powerful brand.
It's like a recipe for success.
It really is. It's a textbook example of how a company can achieve remarkable success by focusing on the fundamentals,
Yeah.
understanding your market,
Mike?
controlling your costs, building a strong brand,
Yeah.
and staying true to your core values.
I love that.
It's a strategy that any business, regardless of industry, can learn from.
You know, as I've been learning about Mixue, I've been struck by how much their journey reflects the rise of China's middle class.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
They both represent this desire for a better life, for quality, at a price you can afford.
Yeah, I see that.
It's almost like Mixue is a symbol of China's economic transformation, wouldn't you say?
That's a really insightful observation. Like, Mixue's growth has really mirrored the changing aspirations of Chinese consumers.
Yeah.
It's a story about upward mobility, about access to things that were once considered luxuries.
I love that.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, can this model be replicated in other markets?
That's a great question.
Could Mixue become like a global phenomenon like McDonald's or Starbucks?
Yeah.
They're already expanding rapidly,
Yeah, they are.
but can they really capture the hearts and taste buds of consumers worldwide?
That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, there's definitely a global appetite for affordable treats.
For sure.
But success in those new markets is going to require a deep understanding
Yeah.
of local tastes and cultural nuances.
Right.
It's not as simple as just setting up shop
Right.
and offering cheap ice cream.
Yeah.
They're going to have to adapt their menu, their marketing, even their storefront design
Yeah.
to really resonate with different
It's
cultures.
a big challenge.
It is a big challenge.
And it raises another important question.
Okay.
Can a company built on low prices truly thrive in the long term?
Hmm.
Can they maintain those margins as costs inevitably rise?
Yeah.
Will they need to adjust their strategy to adapt to changing economic conditions?
Those are critical questions
Yeah.
that Mixie's going to have to face as they grow.
For sure.
It's one thing to be successful in a rapidly developing economy like China,
Uh,
but maintaining that success on a global scale with all its complexities,
right.
that's a different challenge altogether.
Yeah.
Their ability to navigate these questions will ultimately determine their long-term success.
It's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out.
It is. This is going to be a story to watch.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so as we kind of wrap up this first part of our deep dive into the fascinating world of Mixue,
Yeah.
I'm left with this mix of admiration and curiosity.
I feel it.
I mean, their journey is so impressive.
It is.
But I'm also just wondering about their future.
Yeah.
What's going to happen next?
So many questions.
Yeah, and one thing that really stood out to me was their dedication to affordability.
Right. Like over 25 years through all sorts of economic shifts, they've stuck to that promise.
It's crazy. In a way, it's almost counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Wouldn't raising prices a little bit be easier?
Right. You would think.
But they've built their entire brand around that value proposition.
Yeah, they have.
And it's clearly resonated with consumers.
Absolutely.
There's something powerful about knowing you can always get a treat that's both tasty
Yeah.
and easy on the wallet.
It's like that feeling of security.
It is.
You know, you can always count on them.
Yeah.
It creates a sense of trust, of dependability that goes beyond just the product itself.
You know, it makes me think about my own spending habits.
Oh, yeah. How so?
We're often told that higher price equals higher quality.
Right. Right.
But Mixie's success really challenges that notion.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like they've proven that you can offer quality at a price that's accessible to everyone
Right.
and still build a massively successful business.
A massively successful business.
It's a lesson that I think other companies could really learn from.
Totally. I agree.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners today? What can we learn from Mixie's journey?
I think the biggest takeaway is the importance of focusing on the fundamentals.
Okay.
Understanding your market, controlling your costs, building a strong brand, and staying true to those core values.
Mm-hmm.
These principles can guide any business,
It is.
large or small, toward success.
And maybe, just maybe, it also reminds us to challenge our assumptions.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Low price doesn't have to mean low quality. And sometimes the simplest ideas are the most powerful.
Absolutely.
Mixue has proven that a scoop of ice cream can be more than just a treat.
Yeah.
It can be a symbol of value,
Mhm.
consistency,
Yeah.
and even a little bit of hope.
A little bit of hope. I like that.
So the next time you see that familiar red logo,
The big M.
yeah, remember the story behind it.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in a complex world, sometimes the sweetest solutions
Yeah.
are also the smartest.
I love that.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those thoughts maybe with a Mixue ice cream in hand.
The perfect ending.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world around you.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. So we were talking about how Mixue's success story really mirrors China's rising middle class.
Fascinating, right?
Totally. And it makes me wonder, can this model work somewhere else?
Like, could they go global, become the next McDonald's or Starbucks?
Exactly. I mean, they're already expanding pretty aggressively.
Yeah, they are.
But going global, that's a whole other challenge.
It is. I mean, think about it. Can they win over customers in, say, Europe or North America?
Right. Places with totally different tastes and expectations.
And economic realities. What works in China might not work everywhere.
Absolutely. For one thing, they need to really nail those local preferences.
Yeah, like maybe mango ice cream is a hit in Southeast Asia, but not so much in, I don't know, Italy?
Exactly. And it's not just about the flavors.
Right. There's the whole cultural aspect.
Totally. Like how you market the brand, the store design, even the music they play.
All those little details.
Exactly. It all has to feel right for that specific place.
So even though they've got this amazing system,
Uh-huh.
they can't just copy-paste it around the world.
Nope. They'd need to adapt, be flexible.
Which is interesting because their whole model is built on this tight control.
That's true. That hyper-efficiency could be a weakness in a way.
Yeah, if they can't adjust quickly to new situations.
Exactly. It's like being super good at one thing doesn't always guarantee success in a totally different game.
Right, right. It makes you think, can a business built on such low prices actually last?
That's the million-dollar question.
Mm.
Can they keep those margins when costs inevitably go up?
Yeah, like ingredient prices, labor, rent,
Yeah,
it all adds up.
totally. And what happens if there's some big economic shift? A recession, for example.
Or even just a change in consumer tastes.
Right. What if people suddenly decide they want fancy artisanal ice cream instead of the basic stuff?
Or they're willing to pay more for ethical sourcing, fair trade ingredients, that kind of thing.
All these factors could put pressure on Vix's model.
It's like they've nailed this one formula, but the world keeps changing.
It does. So the big question is, can they adapt fast enough to keep up?
It'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
It will. Talk about a story to watch.
For sure. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm left with this mix of, I don't know, hope and skepticism.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, their story is inspiring, but there are some real challenges ahead.
There are. But hey, maybe that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so next up, we're going to tackle the ethics of all this.
Oh, yeah, the big ethical questions. Like labor practices, environmental impact.
That's right. Stuff we got to talk about.
Definitely. Buckle up, folks. It's going to get thought-provoking. All right, so we've talked about Mixue's incredible growth.
Yeah, their supply chain dominance.
Uh-huh. And even those big questions about global expansion.
But now we got to dig into the stuff that's not always so sweet.
Right. The ethical considerations.
Yeah, because every business, especially one this big, has an impact that goes way beyond just the bottom line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's start with labor practices.
Okay, good place to start, because Mixue relies heavily on these franchisees
Yeah, thousands of them.
to run those 46,000 plus stores.
Yeah, and with that kind of scale, it's crucial to make sure that the people working in those stores are treated fairly.
Absolutely, because if those franchisees are cutting corners to keep costs down, it could mean that workers are facing things like low wages, long hours, maybe even unsafe working conditions.
Right, and that's not something that any company wants to be associated with.
Definitely not. And to be fair to Mixue, we haven't found any major scandals or controversies about their labor practices.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Yeah, but it's still something that needs to be monitored closely.
Especially as they expand into new markets.
Yeah, because different countries have different labor laws.
Right, and different cultural expectations.
Exactly. So Mixue's got to make sure they're staying ahead of the curve and setting a good example.
And it's not just about what happens inside those stores.
Right. There's the whole environmental impact to consider.
Huge issue, especially for a food and beverage company.
Yeah, because think about it. They're producing millions of tons of ice cream every year.
Right, and all that production, packaging, transportation, it all takes a toll on the environment.
Yeah, so how are they addressing those concerns?
Well, from what we've seen, they're taking some steps in the right direction.
Okay, like what?
Like they've invested in energy-efficient equipment at their production facilities.
Right.
They're working to reduce waste throughout their supply chain. And they're even exploring the use of more sustainable packaging materials.
That's great. But is it enough?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Like, are they doing enough to minimize their environmental footprint?
Yeah, are they just doing the bare minimum, or are they really going above and beyond?
It's something that consumers are becoming more and more aware of.
Absolutely. People want to support companies that align with their values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Mixue's got to show that they're taking these issues seriously.
If they want to stay competitive in the long run.
Yeah, because ultimately consumers have a lot of power.
They do. They can choose to support companies that are doing things the right way.
And they can choose to avoid companies that aren't.
Exactly. So Mixue's got to make sure they're on the right side of that equation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Mixue, I think it's safe to say that their story is full of contradictions.
Yep, definitely.
Like they're this massive global company, but they're deft on this idea of affordability.
Uh-huh.
They've got this incredibly efficient supply chain, but it also makes them potentially vulnerable.
Right, and they're striving for global domination while also trying to navigate these complex ethical considerations.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is. But one thing's for sure, their journey is a fascinating example of how a business can achieve remarkable success.
Yeah, by understanding their market,
Yeah, controlling their costs.
building a strong brand.
And most importantly, staying true to those core values.
Right. And as for the future, only time will tell if they can maintain this incredible growth.
Yeah, while also addressing those ethical challenges.
But one thing's for sure, it's a story worth watching.
It is. So that's it for our deep dive into the world of Mixue ice cream and tea.
We hope you enjoyed the ride.
And that you learned a thing or two about business strategy, the power of affordability, and the importance of ethical considerations.
And hey, maybe next time you're craving a sweet treat, you'll think about the story behind that familiar red logo.
And the complex journey that brought that scoop of ice cream to your hand.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world around you.
See ya!
Bye.